There are moments in life that freeze you, not from fear or confusion, but from sheer disbelief at how absurdly wrong something can go in broad daylight. That was me, barefoot at 7 a.m., standing in my driveway with a steaming coffee mug that shattered against the pavement the second I saw the heavy-duty tow hook clamp down on the chrome bumper of my 1967 Shelby GT 500. The tow truck driver was casually whistling, like he was plucking corn in July. I screamed. He waved. I sprinted toward him, yelling that he was stealing a certified, federally documented museum piece. His reply? Talk to Denise. Just like that, the growl of a $500,000 heritage vehicle whined under tension as it was dragged hood first up a steel ramp. And Denise Myers, the freshly self-crowned president of the neighborhood HOA, was parked at the foot of my driveway in her pastel pink golf cart, sipping from a mug that read, "I don't make the rules. Oh wait, yes I do." I lived in the quiet cul-de-sac of Brookstone Heights for a decade. Not once had I received more than a passive-aggressive email reminder for leaving my trash bins out overnight. But everything changed 6 months ago when Denise moved in. Armed with a bleach blonde bob, an overuse of exclamation points, and a frightening talent for getting her way, she somehow maneuvered herself into power through special ballot appointments. A lot of homeowners didn't even remember voting. Denise once cited our neighbor Janet for planting flowers that were too cheerful. She sent a formal letter to another resident demanding they repaint their mailbox because it clashed with the neighborhood's neutral color palette. And now, she was towing my Shelby, an officially loaned exhibit from the National Heritage Auto Collection, because it looked dated. I tried reasoning with the tow truck guy. I explained, voice shaking, that the car was not just vintage, it was federally protected. It had been scheduled as the lead feature in the town's Veterans Parade in just under 48 hours. "Look, man," he said, pulling a crumpled sheet from his dash. "All I got is this." I squinted. No city seal. No legal authorization. Just a checkbox next to nuisance removal and the signature, Denise Myers, HOA president. As I stood there, gaping, Denise rolled up with 2 board members I'd never seen before. She smiled like a game show host ready to flip the final tile. "That car's been parked there since last night," she said sweetly, as if speaking to a toddler. "It violates Section 14C of our visual presentation standards." "It's a federally protected asset," I said, practically choking. She didn't blink. Still ugly. People from the block had begun gathering, murmuring. One neighbor tried to speak up. Denise silenced him with a sideways comment about his untrimmed hedges. He stepped back. The truck roared to life and pulled away. My Shelby jerked slightly off-center. The driver hadn't secured the wheels properly. The metallic screech that followed sounded like betrayal. I went inside and immediately called Thomas Blake, the museum curator. Retired Air Force, decorated historian, and the fiercest guardian of classic cars I'd ever met. "Please tell me you're calling to confirm the parade time," he answered. "Tom, we have a problem." "She towed it?" he asked, voice suddenly cold. "Off my driveway. No warning. No ticket. Just entitlement on 4 wheels. His tone shifted. "Where'd they take it?" "Probably Fairmont Impound." "Don't go alone," he said. "I'm alerting the Office of Historic Preservation. That's not a parking dispute. That's federal tampering." Only then did the scope of what just happened settle on me. Denise hadn't just inconvenienced me. She had interfered with a national agreement. And under that contract, there were consequences, legal, enforceable, and not directed at me. Before I could leave, there was a knock at the door. My neighbor Kayla, who ran a popular local auto blog, stood there with her phone already filming. "This is going viral," she said. "Posted the video 10 minutes ago. Reddit's eating it up." "What video?" She showed me. Denise, smug and sipping coffee, gesturing toward my car like she was conducting a wine tasting. The tow truck dragging it, me sprinting barefoot across the lawn in full panic. Kayla grinned. "You're the internet's newest folk hero. Also, wear shoes next time." That night, I barely slept. The museum sent an official statement. Legal action was imminent. I compiled photos, emails, the HOA newsletter that Denise had updated, without board approval, adding new vehicle appearance standards that didn't exist in the original bylaws. By dawn, news vans were on the street. Denise's house was dark. Her golf cart blocked 2 guest spots near the clubhouse like a tiny pastel blockade. I drove to the impound lot with a folder of documentation in one hand and a printed letter from the museum in the other. The staff clerk looked unimpressed until he read the letter. Then he blinked, squinted, and said, "Yeah, it's in the back. Might want to take a breath first." I didn't. My Shelby sat abandoned between rusted pickups like a dethroned king. Greasy handprints smeared its once mirrored surface. The window had been left open. The interior, hand-stitched leather I'd spent 3 years restoring, reeked of old burrito. I documented everything. Then I called Thomas. They left the window down. He barked. Don't drive it. A flatbed is en route. With a federal agent. Back home, Denise had entered full propaganda mode. A community-wide email, subject line, clarifying our neighborhood values, claimed I had parked an unregistered, unsightly vehicle and that she was enforcing long-standing policy. The kicker? She attached a photoshopped image of the Shelby with trash bags stacked on the hood. That Photoshop, 2 shadows didn't match. Reddit roasted her. Memes exploded. Car blogs dubbed her tow truck Denise. Someone even created a parody HOA newsletter with her towing the Statue of Liberty. The next morning, a flatbed rolled in. Agent Lucas Ruiz, suit sharp enough to cut silence, arrived with a preservation specialist. Their grim expressions said everything. The tow lot manager offered to call his lawyer. Denise, meanwhile, held an emergency board meeting, spinning a tale of me being aggressive and visually disruptive. I attended in person. Quiet. Calm. I distributed copies of the Federal Museum Agreement. Played the museum's voicemail. One board member turned pale. Another whispered, she didn't check? Then Agent Ruiz entered the clubhouse. Board members, he said. I need a word. 15 minutes later, he walked out alone. Thank you for your cooperation, he said. We'll be in touch. The next day, a new notice appeared on the bulletin board. Effective immediately, Denise Myers is suspended from HOA responsibilities pending investigation. Denise reappeared 2 days later, in oversized sunglasses, walking her schnauzer like she could outrun public memory. But it was too late. Her name had become a verb. Then came her letter, typed in Comic Sans, accusing me of defamation and demanding a public apology for disrupting HOA harmony. I laughed so hard I startled a squirrel. Forwarded it to both Thomas and my lawyer. Meanwhile, the towing company began cooperating. Emails, call logs, the works. They revealed the form Denise submitted had been altered. She'd invented a clause requiring vehicles over 30 years old be removed. It wasn't in any bylaws. She forged it. The metadata traced it to her home laptop. The internet doubled down. One car site titled their article, Denise Forgets Law, Declares War on Mustang. Another, simply, Don't Tread on Chrome. Thomas filed a formal complaint. Restoration estimates? $47,000. Legal penalties? Pending. Then came court. The courthouse smelled like coffee and karma. I sat beside Thomas and a line of veterans. Denise entered flanked by a lawyer who looked like he'd aged 20 years overnight. She wore beige. It didn't help. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman with a subtle Mustang pin, was not amused. Charges: tampering with a federal asset, fraud, misrepresentation of legal authority. Photos were shown. Voicemails played. The fake bylaws were dissected. The museum's preservationist listed every scratch, every sun-damaged seam. The tow art manager testified with open remorse. Denise's defense blamed stress. Misunderstanding. Per judgment. The judge didn't buy it. Verdict: full liability. $47,000 in restoration costs. Fines for document tampering. 150 hours community service, specifically at the museum. Assigned task? Cleaning and maintaining historic vehicles. Under supervision. The courtroom nodded in silent approval. Outside, veterans saluted. Thomas whispered, that wasn't just a ruling. That was justice. Back home, things had shifted. A kid chalked a drawing of the Shelby on the sidewalk. Hero car. Jess brought cookies shaped like Mustangs. And the Shelby? Restored over 3 months by hands that respected history. When the museum invited me to drive it through the gates for its new exhibit, titled Preserved Through Persistence, I said yes. That day, the car purred like redemption. The judge's verdict was law. But the roar of the engine? That was truth.